What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Professional Opinion Show, episode 13. Freaky 13, Freaky Friday. We barely made it, man. I thought, I know that me and your schedule was super crazy the last couple of weeks, and then I was like, maybe that episode 12 Stigma is because of something. There's
a real thing.
Yeah. There's something out there that not let folks pass that. So now I was glad we were able to swing this one in this week, man. What's been up?
You're right, dude. It did. Same here. I was thinking to myself, like, maybe it's not. It's more like voodoo than people just giving up. And to be honest, like, yeah, talking about, yeah, we're just swinging this one because I was just like, hey, I got to go.
Yeah, rock
That's
on.
literally all I said. I was like, hey, I got to go.
Yeah.
And which, in all fairness, the things that I could be doing can't be done because it's that frustrating, like waiting on a third party to do their part. So you can do your thing, which is so frustrating, right? Because I hate when, like, I know what I got to do, you know what you got to do, but this outside source that has probably just a click of a button, dude, right? Because in my particular case, all I need is some permissions enabled, you know? Yeah. And I can't get there.
Yeah, that is probably actually a pretty decent transition to what I wanted to talk about today, which is a giant waiting game, probably the longest waiting game I've been involved in. And I know before we started this episode, I knew you were involved in the same waiting game. And that is, I think it'll be relevant for a lot of our audience who is prior military or active transitioning. This whole VA claim benefits process associated there. So, yeah, talk about a waiting game.
Can you hear that?
No. I mean, I hear you.
Okay, stand by. This will take 2 seconds. People are about to be like, "Oh my God, this cat's crazy." I am. I'm just freezing my camera.
I mean, they made it 13 episodes, so I think they know by now.
Hey, back. Can you turn that off? Boom, nailed it, dude. That's what 21 years of marriage looks like right there. Compromise.
Yeah, I have to leave that in there.
Well, in August. Anyways, yeah, you're talking about the VA.
Yeah, man. So I've been separated almost 7 and some change years now, and finally got around to starting my claim process for some stuff, I got going on. So I want to pick your brain on a little bit about that here in a second, but
you just now?
Yeah. Yep. Actually, well, not just now. Yeah. So actually I started at the beginning of the year, so January, and ironically 2 days ago I had my first appointment. So we're looking at it's May 1st. So hence the waiting game and not really knowing what's going on. I feel like I got all my stuff done. Ball's out of my court. But I know you did your claim right as you transitioned, correct?
Sort of. Go away, dog. Anyways, yes. So I was trying to take advantage of all said programs, right? And one of which is, well, it's the same thing. Was that me or you? Oh, well, like the skill bridge, right? So to help you transition with jobs, and great program. I'm sure they'll get rid of it because it's a fabulous program. But it works. Yeah. Well, it works in the favor of the member and not the machine. So they'll shut it down because it really is in the benefit of, like, my whole last year, dude, I didn't employed by Uncle Sam working elsewhere, right? Which helped me tremendously because I completely changed, like, career paths, right? Or career industries rather. And so I needed that because everywhere I went, right, they were like, well, sure, you have all the stuff and things, school certifications, but where's your experience, And so I was able to get some of that. However, because I took advantage of that program, right? Much like your story when me and you were trying to get your extension approved and trying to, make certain parties talk so things happen. When you sign up for this skill bridge, you essentially get out a year early because you're working for a different company, right? Now you can't get paid by other said company because it's basically an internship, right? Well, it is an internship really, but you can't get paid by them until you're on your terminal leave. Once you're on leave, then you're gone. So then you can get paid. But what's supposed to happen is I turn in that paper that says, "Hey, I'm leaving on this day. I'm going to start working for this place," and then some administrative guru somewhere is supposed to go into my file and push all my stuff to the left because I'm leaving early. So all my appointments to sign out to let people know I'm gone, so they don't, put me on a deployment, etc. And to include like what you're talking about, VA claim, because there is, we're not the first people to leave the service, so there is a process, and so someone is supposed to. You're right. This goes dead in line with what I was complaining about. But so they're supposed to activate something that flags somewhere, particularly the hospital, and let them know, like, oh my God, this dude needs to get in and do his appointments because he's leaving at this date, not this date. That didn't happen. Whoever that administrative guru was on leave themselves or something because
they were on skill bridge too.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Yeah, exactly. And I actually fully retired, was finished, and I reached out after my retirement ceremony. I reached out to these people and I was like, "Hey, I feel like I should have filled out some paperwork or something, or I should have met up with somebody, or And my situation was kind of unique in the sense that where I was stationed, I'm going to use some acronyms here, so if I lose somebody, I'm sorry. I was stationed at Duke Field. It's AFS. I forget what that stands for, but I was stationed at Duke Field, right? Primarily reservist base.
Mm-hmm.
I was AdCon, so all my administrative stuff, all my health and welfare crap, at Eglin Air Force Base. I was OpCon, so all my deployments, all my schoolhouses, all tactical training at Herbert Field, the ASOC headquarters. And so because of this banana, and I was TACCon, so day-to-day operations at Duke Field at the primarily reservist base. So everyone at Eglin thought I was a reservist. Everyone at Herbert Field acted like I didn't exist. And no one wanted to be my mom or dad and take care of me, right? Because it's well, you don't belong to us. You don't belong to us. And finally, I found some help through the coalition care because I was on the Wounded Warrior program when I was medevaced out of Africa. And they set me up with a rep and had to file my paperwork to get it started, the process started at Eglin, because they had me administratively. Had to get help with the process of filling out the information and collecting all my files at Herbert Field because they had all my operational info. So it was a complete cluster for me. But nonetheless, I went and I met this guy, retired Navy dude, who literally just took my medical records, the disc, threw it in his computer and just started I feel like hitting Control F on my medical files and you know what I mean? Just doing word search.
Right.
He didn't ask me anything, dude. He literally didn't ask me anything. And he was just talking about when he was in the Navy. And he saw that I had been on a couple of USS Your Moms and I was a crusty shellback and whatever. And he was like, "It's crazy. You got all this ship time. You're an Air Force dude." And he's just running his yacht, right? And all of a sudden he was like, "Well, I think we're done here." And I was like, "Really? All right. I mean, is this the part where I try to touch my toes? What's up?" And he's like, "Oh, no. And he's like, "This is just filling out the form to submit, and then you'll be contacted by a third-party source."
Yeah.
Right? To schedule your medical exams all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
It was my experience, right? All over the place. Most an hour away in Pensacola. But, so, this is some things I didn't know, right? One, there's 33 slots of total things that you can claim, and now I'm sure there's an attachment thing after that for additional. I don't know, or if it's just your best 33, which I giggled at because I was, I'm all about. I'm not one, but I love to dig in the world of Freemasons and Knights Templar, and 33 is the highest you can go rank wise. And and I was like, how fitting for a government program to top out at the 33 degrees of the Freemasons. But so anyways, the guy was like, "Yep, there's 33 slots and I got you at 31. So, you should be
Damn.
pretty good. And I'm like, right. And he's like, I mean, the only thing we're really missing is a cancer and a heart attack. And
Oh
I
God.
was like, wow, that's crazy, dude. I was like, funny you say that, though. Did that calcified aorta that popped up when they did the full body scan on me on the medevac pop up? And he's like, what? And he starts typing, like, medical jargon, finds this thing, loads that in there. And he's like, all right, well, there's our heart attack. He was like, have you ever had any weird things like cut out of you, like tissue wise? And he was like, I had some. They found like a big adipose tissue thing in my chest one time because they thought it was from the impact when I hit I forgot what those things are called now, HESCO barrier. And he's like, really? And he does another thing. And he's like, oh, yeah, it's right here. Tissue removal, sent off for biopsy. He's like, and then there's the cancer. And I'm like, what, dude? And he's like, well, it says they sent it off for biopsy to make sure that, because you had like a couple of cysts or some other stuff. And he's like, but no one ever followed up, so we don't know how it ended. And I was like, that checks. I was like, I'm sure they took it, sent it off, and then I deployed again. And this is what people don't realize, dude, that I think's hysterical, is like, if you want to run and gun in the military, then you can't. And they say, they're all like, oh, well, that's not true, da-da-da-da-da. Bull, dude. You can't have problems, right? Like, you have to, like, there's some things you just got to be like, yeah, nah, I feel great. Do I drink? No, not at all. Never. I don't touch alcohol. And like, and so many other things when they start talking about the mental aspect and blah, blah, blah. So they send my paperwork off. They file my appointments. I start going to these appointments. The first one I go to, right, and I have a lot of feelings about the VA and the process, and we'll get to it. But my buddies had all told me, especially for whatever reason in Florida, right? Almost everyone in Florida, for whatever reason, probably because it's a big red state and whatever, lots of MAGA hats, but almost everyone gets 100% P&T. Like, you'll see DV tags. It'll say disabled vet tags all over in Florida, right? And so I think at a minimum, and don't quote me on this, but I think at a minimum for every DV tag you see strolling in Florida, I'll be, what's the word, generous, dude. That's $50K, bro, driving by.
Really? A
Yes,
month?
Sir. A month. Oh, no, excuse me, a year.
Okay, I was going to say,
right. A year.
Shoot.
No, I'm tripping. Yeah, a year. Actually, I'll get even closer for you, just to let you know.
So it does.
That's your retirement. Your VA claim is your VA claim. That's different. As I understand it, it has nothing to do with there might be some time in service.
Okay.
There might be some time in service, but I don't think it's based off your rank. But I mean, that's why I said I would just guessing, like bare minimum. Yeah, dude, it's got to be close to $50K a year. And so here's the deal, though, right? I retired Master Sergeant E7 Air Force, right? So my retirement, dude, hits me for a whopping like $23K.
Wow.
So, yeah, dude. So your retirement's not a retirement at all, right? And I don't know, I mean, I was done at 40 maybe, 40 or 41, because I came in later, I came in at like 20. But yeah, so your retirement, man, it's like you're sit at home McDonald's shift, and so you got to get out there and work unless you get a dope VA claim that comes through, and then if you know how to manage your money and you're not keeping up with the Joneses, you can kind of chill, like, and enjoy life.
Right. Okay.
And if you have any aspirations whatsoever, right, then you can actually do what I did, and it's why I've done what I've done, dude. I've leaned forward, and something that I'm naturally gifted at and love doing, and like want to help and share with people, right? And if I can get paid in the process, cool. If not, I do have a mailbox check, and I can still do something I'm passionate about and get a little cash.
Right.
Now, if I was trying to be a millionaire, then I would have never picked the career field that I did jump in when I retired. But so anyways, I start going to these appointments. The first appointment I go to, like, no one tells you nothing. This is what sucks, right?
That
no
checks.
one, like, Yeah, no one tells you that, like, hey, the dude submitted my form, and I never heard from him again. And then I randomly got an email and then a phone call from what the third party company that had picked up my claim.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, hey, your first appointment's this day, da 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 da. And that whole process goes like this: your appointment's on this day at this place, which was an hour away, right? At this time. You don't, if you have to reschedule, that's fine. We highly recommend that you don't, because it could push your claims process back further and further, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I started my claims process 2 weeks after I retired, so mid-May. I was done, and that was May 2023. I was done and knew what my like rating and stuff was May 2024.
Look, like a full year.
It took the entire year to finish the process. So I go to the first appointment, though, and it's an eye exam. I'm thinking that in my mind, it's kind of like the doctor's office, right? There's just certain things that they're going to do because you're there. We're going to check your blood pressure. We're going to check your temperature, height and weight. You know what I mean? It's just, it's the formalities of it all, right? And so I wasn't thinking at all that this is my first appointment to see what's broken on me, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there because all my buddies had told me, they're like, dude, we're not worried about you at all because you actually got, I've broken both my hands, both my feet, 5 ribs, my mandible, skull fracture, just a little one. I don't think you can see it on camera. And I have 2 1/4 sinus cavities left out of 6, a titanium right arm. Like, I had a hydrocele that I got over in Iraq, racking myself. Google that one, somebody listening. On the right side for me. But so they were like, you're good, dude. I had my butthole almost come out the other side of my body on an airborne jump. So they're like, you'll be fine, dude. Like, don't worry about it. Just like, don't go in there and do handstand push-ups. And I'm like, cool, whatever. So I go to this thing, and again, dude, I think this is legit, like just a normal check-in process or something. And so the guy, it was this travel trailer. I took my daughter because they said you had to have someone to drive you because they're going to dilate your eyes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. Dude, when we pulled up, this is a travel trailer parked in like an abandoned, like old rec center out in the middle of Pensacola down a dirt road. And so I told my daughter, I was like, hey, I'm going to walk up in here. VES was the company, the third party that did my claim. I was like, I'm going to walk up in here. If you don't see me poke my head back out in 5 minutes, my 45's in the glove box. Just let it sing. Just, point it at the ground or something. Just start letting it rip. It'll give me time to do something.
I could just, Aubrey's probably like, what the hell you get me into?
Yeah, exactly. She was like, let's just leave. And I was like, no, man, like we gotta do this.
We're here now.
And, so I literally, dude, I went up in there and I was like, hey, and there they are, dude. It's 2 like techs and then the doc in the front of the little like RV traveling doctor or whatever. I don't know. It's so weird. And leave it to Uncle Sam, dude, to find the cheapest
sounds
possible,
sounds like Breaking Bad out in the middle of the desert.
Dude, it was like a medical carnival. It was just dumb. And so I popped in there and they're like, hey, are you Cotton? I'm like, yeah. Is this real? And they're like, yeah. Most people respond this way. And I'm like, cool. I got to poke my head out the door because I just told my daughter to shoot this place up if I didn't resurface. So, and they were like, what? And I was like, yeah, you should get a building. Like, this is catch. And so I popped my head back out, waved to my daughter and told her to come in. And she gets out of the car, dude. She's like, oh my God, it's real. And I'm like, yeah, we're in the circus now. This is life after the military. And so I go in there and the dude's like, hey, he takes all my information. Super nice, man. And they're like, dude, disclaimer, right? I have a bunch of crap that is wrong with me, right? But the one thing that I know that I can do, right? I have this big old nose, dude, right? And everybody assumes like if someone farts, right? They're like, you smell that? And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, no, facial racist. This is just a big hood ornament. I actually can't smell a damn thing. Like when COVID hit, dude, and everybody's like, oh, no, I can't. I was like, oh, this is welcome. I've been here my whole life. And so it's why it looks like I snorted cocaine my whole life. All these veins have blown up because I'm out of sinus cavities. But so I can see, though, like a mother, dude. Like I've always been like, what do they say, 15, 20?
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
better than 2020.
Okay.
And the dude's like, hey, stand right here. You start at the lowest line that you can read, and take your time. And I'm like, okay. And he was like, where are we going? And I'm like, 18. I think there's 20 lines, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, what? And I'm like, you ready? And he's like, are you sure? And I'm like, are you ready? And he's like, sure, send it, dude. And I'm like, ZYXWNQ. And he's like, I was like, is that wrong? And he's like, no, that's spot on. All right, if you want to switch to your other eye, And he's like, again, pick any line. And I was like, same. And he's like, okay. And I was like, I mean, if you want, I'll try to go 19 because I kind of remember what 18 is, and which I always thought is weird at the eye doctor. But anyways, for the paper thing, and we're in a trailer, so it's definitely the paper thing. And so he's like, nah, man. He is like, I mean, if you want. And I was like, well, I'm actually left-handed, but I'm right-eye dominant, so I could hit 19. And he's like, just silent, dude.
Right.
Just like, right? Like, he's like, you hillbilly, like, what are you? And I'm like, so I blurted off 19. I missed one letter. I was super pissed about it. And then he's like, well, I guess I got to ask you to go up and read 18. And I was like, and he's like, all right. And so he was like, do you have any cataracts, contacts, itchy eyes, watery eyes, headaches due to like sunlight, blah, 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 all this. I'm like, no. I was like, if I say cataracts, do I get those like free gummies forever? And he's like, nope. And I'm like, all right, I'm good. And he goes, hey, you know why you're here, right? And I was like, no, I don't. And he's like, you have, and he said the word, like the medical term, I forget what it is, but it means blurry vision. And he's like, it was filed in your records that you had blah, blah, blah. So this is, part of your claim, like your claim. And I'm like, I don't have blurry vision, dude. And he's like, well, okay. He's like, never mind, dude. I'll just send you to the doc. I'll tell him, everything you said, whatever. And Aubrey's starting to look at me weird, right? And now I'm like, everybody's in on this joke but me, whatever. And so I go back to the doc, who's in like a smaller closet of this RV, and he's like looking through my records, looking at my vision, and dude, he just starts listing these like possible things that could be wrong and be involved with my eyes, right? And I'm like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. No. And he's like, have you ever? No. And he's like, is your eyeball ever like twitched? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, yes. And I was like, what? and he's like, Sergeant Cotton, can I level with you real quick? And I was like, yeah, dude, what's up? And he's like, I mean, you know why you're here, right? And I was like, for an eye exam. I assume so I can like start doing my appointments. And he's like, no, this is your appointment. He's like, you have this in your record, da 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 da. And I was like, well, I don't, dude. My eyeballs are great. And he's like, I agree. Your eyeballs are great. Like like he's like, but I'm trying to help you out. And he's like, dude, you like served our country. And he was like, and I'm just, I'm trying to make sure that you're taken care of because like apparently he knew he had military family members or whatever. And he's like, your retirement pay sucks. Like you're not, you did 20 years. He's like, I'm sure you deployed at least once. And I was like, I deployed 17 times, dude. And he was like, he's like, dude, help me help you.
Right.
And I was like, okay, well, I don't know why I'm here, bro. I can see. And he's like, well, this is in your record. And I was like, I crashed an ATV. And I'm sure at the moment when the first person I saw, like I did have blurry vision. I literally got ejected.
Had a concussion.
Off the HESCO barrier. Right. I was like, yeah. So yeah, that passed, and he's like, and so he broke it down for me, dude. Like in a way that no, it was just like grace of God, good fortune, whatever, dude. That he's the first dude I saw because he was like, no, dude, because he explained to me like you're in the race, right? Like it has begun. Everybody that you see from here on out is looking to hang a percentage on whatever it is that you're there to see them for. And I'm like, all right, cool. Well, let's go ahead and scribble that zero, dude, because I do have stuff wrong. I'm not worried about like, I can
Right.
see, bro. And
Mm-hmm.
he's like, all right, well, he's like, just know that like, I mean, I'm trying to help you because there are docs out there. He is like, when you go home and you get your next appointment, and this was clutch, dude, because I tested the waters. He was like, when you go home and you get your next appointment filed, go on Google the doctor and VA claim or whatever, like find a Reddit forum or something. He was like, because there's docs out there that like, there's yes man and there's no man. And he's like, there's some that like, you would swear Uncle Sam's paying them not to pay you.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah. And so my next appointment that I had was dental. And it was dental because I get ulcers.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I happen to bite the inside of my lip, there's going to be an ulcer there. Like but that's been me my whole life, right? And when I was in Lebanon training with the Lebanese Rangers, I cracked my whole mandible right below my nose, like just broke it. And it's this super yellow tooth is dead because of where I cracked, right?
Mm.
And so they told me, they're like, yeah, it'll probably just fall out one day. And I'm like, that's cool. But so that's why I had to go to the dentist. Those two things, right? Well, I did what the one doc said. I Googled this guy and raving reviews. Like, change this appointment immediately. This guy's an asshole.
Shoot.
He's yeah, dude. Like, people were like blowing this dude up. Like, no, he's a jerk. He didn't even blah, blah, blah. He was like, why'd you waste my time and the government's, like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, this can't be real, dude. And so I get there. Here's something else they don't tell you. When you show up at these appointments, they hand you a piece of paper and you are supposed to know why you're there, why specifically, like what on your claim or service action, like when did this occur and happen.
Right.
Yeah. And so I get there, I sit down. God bless this receptionist lady, so sweet, dude. She's like, hey, hon, so why are you here today? I was like, I don't know. I know why I'm here for like the VA claim thing, but I don't know why, what I'm saying, dentist.
Right.
And she's like, hold on, I'll pull this up for you. Don't worry. And she comes back and she's like, cracked jaw, ulcers, and she said something else it didn't make sense to me. And I was like, well, there is no like specific thing I can point to for ulcers. Like I've always dealt with that. And she's like, just put that down. And I was like, I know exactly when the cracked jaw happened. Now I can put the date.
Right.
And she's like, all right, well, do that. And she was like, so I guess it matters too, like if you're stateside or overseas. And she's like, were you deployed? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, okay, good. Make sure you put that on there, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right. And so I fill it out, right? I go back. They put me on the thing that's like, boom,
Right.
So they x-ray my thing. And then they're like, go in here, sit down. Doc will be here in a second. And the doc comes straight in, dude. Straight, like not, hey, how we doing? Blah, blah. Comes straight in. And he's like, hey, open up your mouth real wide. And I'm like, all right. And he sticks a little wooden thing in my mouth. And he's like, say ah. I say ah. And he's like, all right, close your mouth. I close my mouth. He's like, open your mouth again. I'm like, I open it. He said, open wider. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, pulls out the little light, uses the stick, goes around my mouth. And he's like, all right, close your mouth. And I'm like, all right. And he's like, hey, we're done. And I was like, okay. And he's like, do you want me to tell you my findings? I can. And I'm like, I guess, yeah.
Be nice. Yeah.
I just drove him an hour and I told him, dude, because immediately I'm like, oh, wow, this dude's living up to his reputation. And I was like, well, yeah, dude, I'd like to hear something. I drove an hour out here. I had to cancel 2 of my clients to come here. So that'd be dope. And he's like, well, yeah, I don't even know why you're here. Like, they should have just sent me your x-rays in an email and I could have cleared this up, because we've wasted both our time and the government's, and they're going to cut you a check for driving out here for gas, and that's a waste of money as well. He goes, you opened your mouth, you closed it with zero complaints, so I know you don't have any. I guess there's like if you've had any kind of jaw injury, right? And so here's I'll start to unpack some of my frustrations. So here's what sucks, dude. There are people that join the military, they do one term, 0 deployments. They're taking a job that's like, I don't want to name a job, can piss someone off, but they're choosing their jobs wisely, right? They know what they're going to be doing, and they know, more importantly, what they
won't be doing.
What they won't be doing, right? And they're doing their one term. They're saying all the stuff, and I found this out because I did GS job after I retired.
Yeah.
And this is how I found this out, because I was attached to a particular place, and like these people were all over the place. And so this is what happens, dude. This is a generational scam. This is how this goes down. Like it's not that all military members suck, but some definitely do. And it's not that they suck, they're being coached because their parents before them have done this, right? So they come in for the one term, for that one job that they, again, like we said, that they know what it doesn't have to do. And then they know the game. And so they get in and they say and do all the stuff that they know adds up.
Right. Yeah.
To include, there was like I heard of this one guy, right? You're familiar with Honor Guard.
Yeah.
They super respectful thing, show up at all the funerals, burying service members, 21 gun salute, this guy did one service, went straight to the site, PTSD, seen dead people, messed him up, needs to switch to a Panama work schedule because every time he goes to work reminds him of the stress, the mental anxiety of dead people. And dude, the game gets thick. And so, and then that, of course, affects his sleep and their sleep apnea. And we got to do this. Like, these people know the game, dude.
Yeah.
And they come in, hit the appointments that they need to, say the things that that needs to be said. And then they get out, maximum like 6 years. And again, at a minimum, dude, for people with aspirations, this isn't hugely beneficial, but it's still, dude, at a minimum, that's $50K.
Right.
Just shows up.
Man.
And these people will go in and play the games like this dentist is seen. So the dentist didn't ask me how far I could open my mouth, because apparently the fact that I broke my jaw on the deployment, if I would have only opened it 2 inches, well, that's so much of a percentage. 2.5 is another, and like, so, but you can, like, if you really dig, like, you can find this information, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
So people have figured this out, and so they do the stuff and things to go, and they're just like, all right, this is all I got,
Oh,
and so this dentist is pissed because he's probably, he's seen it, dude.
Right.
And so, but the thing is like, I didn't fill out my thing. And I did break my damn jaw. Like, so, and what's your problem? So he goes, yeah, so you opened your mouth all the way, you closed it all the way. You never said anything about any kind of pain or discomfort. That's a 0. He is like, I looked through your mouth with my stick in the light for any ulcers, because you have these ulcers. There are none. And I'm like, yeah, dude, that only happens if I like bite my lip or get cut on the inside of my mouth. I would have told you.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, well, you don't. And you did break your jaw at some point in time. I can see it right here. There's the crack where it was. That bone is since healed. This tooth is dead, but you can move your mouth pain-free, so that counts for nothing. And I'm like, hey, who pissed in your coffee, bro?
Right.
And he's like, excuse me? I was like, yeah, do you see the crack in my jaw? I was like, do you know how that happened? And he was like, no. And I was like, of course, dude, because you don't give a damn. I was like, that did happen on a deployment. I was like, do you remember when Beirut blew up? That's where I was. And that's when this happened. And like, so with all due respect, sir, because he was a
Yeah.
retired Navy officer,
Ah,
I was like,
perfect.
yep. And I was like, how many deployments did you have? And he's like, well, that's not what we're here to talk about. And I was like, well, apparently, though, you're here to cast total judgment across everybody. I was like, I didn't fill out this form. I gave this to the SRO,
Some office.
something like that. And it's something, yeah, well, it's something that people do need to know. It's like the something officer that files your stuff. I can't remember. But anyway, I'm sorry. I apologize. But there's people out there trying to help. And but I was like, I gave it to this dude. And he filled it out based off what he found in my medical records. But you're sitting here like staring at me like I came here with this whole game plan. I was like, I opened my mouth like you said. You said open it wider. I opened it wider. Like my lips are actually chapped. That hurt. I ain't say anything. And I was like, and then, you're jamming this stick in my mouth, not telling me anything. And then you're talking about my broken jaw like it's like a pimple, like it's just this common thing that like, and you just glossed over the fact that my tooth is dead. I didn't even know that. You know what I mean?
God.
And I was like, so I don't appreciate like I don't know what the word I'm looking for, being a dick. You know?
Right.
And he was like, well, I mean, this is a waste of time and the government's money because like you're good, like whoever filed your claim shouldn't have put this in here. They should have looked at your records, and instead they've wasted both our times. And he's like, he's like, it's just frustrating to me that no one does their homework before this. They just find issues, plug them in, and then everyone has to, fill out their schedule, right? Which I only found out later, and I wish I'd have known at the time. He signed up for this, dude. He signed up for this as his business. He is a business that had to file paperwork, that had to get accepted into the program to see VA patients that he gets paid for. So how ironic is that? Right?
Yeah, that's
like you sought out to be a part of this so you make more money because your dentistry probably sucks and you can't land normal patients, right? But I'm the problem. And everyone else, like, and so like super pissed about that, dude, with that one situation. And it was at that appointment that I realized that the other thing no one tells you about, and that is probably more important than anything, is every appointment that you show up to, they know your name. And that's about as far as it goes. They don't know what service you were in. They don't know what jobs you did. They don't know if you deployed. They don't know anything, dude, about you whatsoever. Yeah. I had a hearing exam after that. That guy was on the home team, and we're sitting there, and he was like, do you have any known da-da-da-da-da? And I was like, which, by the way, I think they're going to take away tendinitis because it's 2025. We all have tendinitis of some variants because we all wear AirPods, cell phones. It's walking through Bluetooth and Wi-Fi at all times. So if you don't believe me, just get in a really, really quiet room, shut off the lights. That beep you hear is a frequency. And mine breaks, squelch every now and then. But I told him, I was like, yeah, if my kids want to talk shit, they get on my right side. And he was like, oh, okay, good to know. And we get in the booth. And it was weird. It wasn't the normal test that we take. It had the, push when you hear the beep thing.
Right.
But then there were like words. And you had to like say what it was or whatever, right? And which was crazy because my kids make fun of me consistently singing the wrong lyrics. And I mean, I got a sign given to me by you guys about things I mispronounce and blah, blah, blah. And which I would think that's probably more lack of education than hearing. But so anyways, I get done with the thing, and the dude, they're not allowed to tell you anything either. So they can't tell you any results, right? The eye doctor wouldn't have told me any results had I had not known that I knew.
Right.
And so I come out of the booth, and the dude was like, what side did you say? And I was like, right side. And he's like, and I was like, oh, it's worse. And he goes, I didn't say anything. And I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, oh, you can't give me any feedback at all, huh? And he's like, nah, man, we're not allowed. He's like, this is like he's like, you have to think of this whole process as like an insurance claim.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, dude. He's like, so it's not, this isn't for you. And I was like, oh, he's like, yeah, this is for them. They're auditing you to see how much is wrong and how much, they're going to put out. He's like, it's a claims, just like an insurance claims process. And I'm like, oh, dope. Okay. Which I was like, yeah, this is why people got LORs for getting sunburned. You're truly government property.
For sure. So
And
what?
so-
Oh, go ahead. Finish
Hold on
this.
real quick. So this dude was a G though, right? And he goes, yeah, I can't tell you any of the findings. He's like, do you mind if I ask you a question though? And this is where he hooked me up and I didn't know, because they're not supposed to prod either. Like if you don't, any information you don't willingly give, they can't, they're not supposed to reach for.
Got it. Yep.
Like if it could help you, it's that whole like Incredibles when the superheroes helping the old lady. Like I can't tell you to fill out this form and and go down the hall and give it to Peggy and
Yeah,
but that
right.
kind of thing, right? And so this dude's like, "Did you shoot a lot in your career?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You're left-handed, aren't you?" And I was like, "Wow," which because not common, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, "Wow." And I was like, "Yeah, I am." And he's like, "This left ear's down on the cheek weld, right ear's exposed to all noise." And he's like, and I'm sure you wore ear pro all the time. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, you wouldn't happen to have a marksman ribbon, would you? And I was like, yes, I do. And he's like, might want to tell people like it matters. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, and it does, because it validates, you know what I mean?
Right.
The
Heck
said
yeah.
finding. But like, no one tells you that. Right? I mean, would you think that it's important for you to go in your hearing exam, say, yo, I got a marksman ribbon and I'm, this ain't da-da-da. And it's, yeah. And so he hooked me up. And then when I got to my final exam, that dude was just a G, man. He actually, by that time I'd figured out no one knows who I am. No one knows what I did. And this dude was a family of military people. And he actually opened the whole thing up with like, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? Which, from what I've heard from all my buddies, is the most uncommon thing ever.
Right.
And so, all those like non-disclosure things we had to
Right.
sign?
Yeah.
Well, it's time to talk about it.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that's super helpful to know going into this for anybody who hasn't done theirs yet. But
Yeah.
I guess I am, like you said, there's definitely like I have a picture in my head of these clowns who go in there with like, oh, they can't tell you don't have this, so go ahead and do that. And like in my mind, this is why 7 years later I'm doing this, because this whole time, like, dude, I'm good, like I'm healthy, I don't have these issues. I don't want to. I did, I went on a couple trips on a plane downrange and then I flew right back. I mean, I never did all the cool guy stuff like you did. So, but I'm curious, like your thoughts on.
You're an idiot, bro. You're an idiot. Anyways, carry on.
But
Carry
yeah,
on.
like how you view, I guess to make it a simple question, how, like, should anybody who leaves the military, should you go in and at least get checked, like let them tell you? Because that's what
All right,
everybody
are you ready?
been telling me, like, let them tell you don't have a problem.
Are you ready?
Yeah, yeah.
I tell you exactly how I feel about the whole process. I would tell you this: all my buddies, like my gang buddies, right, the hooligans, all said, like, bro, you might want to swallow your pride and get through this, because I'm gonna tell you, those first 30 days, you're gonna find out about yourself a lot. Did I ever tell you I had to go to a cardiologist after I retired?
No.
Yes. So I was not good, dude. I was in a dark, like I was not good. Like I was in a very unhealthy mental state, like big time, and just kind of keeping it all to myself, because that's what you do, especially when you're on call, when you're constantly out the door. Like, you come back from a deployment, and I've seen some wild shit, but you come back home from deployment, and everybody always has this build up in their mind of like, your family's at the airport with the sign and everybody's so excited. Well, that's not real life. what happens is you come home and your wife is like, holy shit, it's about time. Like, your turn. Here's your kids. Here's all these problems. Here's, you're thinking, it's going to be a fun night because you've been gone. And she's like, I just want sleep. I haven't been able to sleep since you left because I'm taking care of this, and that's the reality of it. And so you never even unpack the trip, right? And then you get out. And in my case, all my boys moved. My squadron shut down after I retired. So everyone I knew PCS. And there was no one I could talk to that understood what I was talking about.
Sure.
Like, they didn't have that perspective. And so I just wouldn't even share it with them because I know it would go over their head. And dude, I started, and I'm a fucking strength coach, bro. And I started getting like stabbing heart pains.
Shit.
And then it turned into like a daily thing. And I finally called one of my ER doc buddies from my JSOC time. And he was like, you got to go in. And the dude ran tests. And my doc buddy said he knew what it was. But he said he wasn't going to tell me because then I wouldn't listen. And I needed to go in. And they ran all the tests, dude. And they said it was high anxiety.
Really?
Yeah. They were like, you're just super fucking stressed. And I had everything ready, dude. I retired with my bachelor's, my master's, my certification I needed. I had already started the skill bridge. Like, I was ready, but I wasn't ready to lose everyone. And it just slowly ate at me, and I didn't even know. Dude, the dog that they got me, dude, he saved my life, bro. Like, it gave me like this purpose that I didn't realize.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. And so I would tell you this, like the ones that you just went in with that sole purpose in mind, right? Like, shame on you. Like, if you raised your hand knowing that was the game plan, because those people exist, like, shame on you. But for the boys that went in and did the dirty work and like went after it and joined for reasons like yours with your grandfather and you know what I mean? Like an honorable intention. Like, no, bro, you deserve that because you're in the less 10%. And then you're even in the 10% of that doing what you did. And so, and I'll tell you this to put it to, I like to pull the microscope all the way out all the time. Yeah. Right? You think those motherfuckers cared about writing that check for those COVID pills and shit?
Man, we got way out there.
I'm dead serious.
Yeah, I mean,
you know how much money they made, bro?
Yeah, fair enough.
You think they give a shit about your $50K a year? They're laughing at you for being happy to collect that. They're laughing at you. And then they're laughing at that, taking that same $50K, shoving it down some miner's pants on an island. Fuck them.
Yeah, that is good.
That's how I feel about that. Yeah, dude, that's how I feel about that. And as you know how I am about money. We've yet to have this money talk yet, but when we do, I don't give a shit about that money. Right. It's not real. It's not real, dude.
Yeah.
That people aren't killing folks, robbing them for their cash, dude. They're killing them, taking their cash so they can eat. It's not, that money is not the sole purpose. Like it's yeah, dude, no. Again, I think for the cats that, again, that was the whole reason. They came in, they picked some bullshit ass job. They said all the stuff and things, played the system so they can continue to be pieces of shit and get paid for it. Like, no, they can. Yeah. But no, dude, for the people that, and don't get me wrong, I came in to save my own ass. Right. But then when I realized that, like, I had kids, this is what I needed to do, I did it. Like, I didn't sit and, like, I did it, dude. And I mean, I get where you're coming from because I wrestled with it too, man. And one of my buddies gave me a different talk that I sat and thought on, and then I sat in silence and thought some more from the way that I look at things, right? Which is that pulled out, like, big picture. And when I found that road, the one I just got on, I was like, okay, I'll take that. Go ahead. Here's my routing number. Send it.
Yeah, and I was gonna say for anybody that's kind of like struggling with that same thing, because I was you.
Yeah.
Some of the things that like helped me was I obviously, yeah, it took some time to think through, but I think humans in general, we always want to compare things. And so like, I knew somebody like you, I'm like, well shit, he's, like there's people that done way more than I have. Like I don't deserve that. But it's just like the Joneses, even
Yeah.
that guy that you have in your mind, he's got two people in his mind that did way more than them. And then there's people that made the
Correct.
ultimate sacrifice. So don't like,
Correct.
don't play that game. Like I finally got to a point where like, okay, like you can't play that game because everybody's got somebody
You can't do.
done more than that. Or
And
whatever,
the people that sign the checks are filing Chapter 13, not paying taxes, and like, come on.
Right,
No.
right. Yeah, and I mean, so ultimately, like, I started having some tough knee pain and some stuff that, like, I had the surgery and stuff I was in. I had that. So I finally was
Yeah, I
like,
remember you had to cancel your run thing and all that. Yeah.
yeah. So I finally just was like, let's start it. And then part of me, I think, when I got out, I was super healthy, so I never wanted to learn the whole process. I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, but dude, it's like it feels so heavy to like file a claim. Well, where the hell do you even start, man? So
No, they make it a battle so people like us
yeah,
will just tap.
right. But yeah, so actually, I was talking to somebody about my knee, and they're like, "Have you done a claim, or whatever?" And they got me in touch with. They're like, "Oh, there's this attorney that'll help you fill out everything, get it started." So I'm just like, "Cool, yeah." Like I'll talk to them, and they kind of did the same story like you did. But I went to my first meeting just this week, or the first appointment, and luckily it was somebody pretty cool that I happen to know outside of it, and they're like, "Don't get an attorney, man." Like I guess like the VA kind of monitors that a little bit. Like there's some bloodsuckers out there who just
there's organizations that they know exactly what to put on the paper, and they'll take a percentage of your stuff for so many years to do it, and yada yada yada.
And supposedly forever. It showed me like the horror story of like they'll help you get your first claim, and then unless you cut ties with them, like 40 years later, you have an actual like something bigger comes of it, like they're still your attorney on record with the VA, and they'll still take a cut of like all that. So if anybody out there has an attorney, she was just like, whatever, you're already too far in now, like just get through this, but when you're done, like cut ties with them and do this on your own. So another, like, I don't know, something actionable if you are looking, most counties or cities have a veteran affairs, like for you, they're on like your team as the member. They'll help you get this whole process started. So that's where I'm at now, I'm already too far in with the one, but I'm reaching out to the, like my county's little place to get in with them and figure out like how to move forward from here. But yeah, no, I think that was super interesting just to, some insight for anybody who's not been there through that yet. Like, yeah, these appointments are crazy, but I think a lot of it is like the mental piece that you have to get over of being willing to like drop your pride a little bit and just say, let them check me out.
If you're that kind of dude, yeah.
Which
some people have no issue.
Well, yeah. But I think it's like they're like the minority that everybody hears about, talks about, but I feel like most of the people I serve with are like us, and like you're not out there trying to squeeze every bit of blood out of there. But at the same time, like if something's wrong, and like I'm not even really about the money. I just want my fucking knee fixed or something, or let me at least get some X-rays for not having to come out of pocket or something. You know what I mean,
bro?
So
you
there's
can
that
spot
aspect too.
the people. You can spot the people I'm talking about because, like in Florida, if you're 100%, you get this DV tag or whatever. Where the DV tag acts the same as a handicap. Let me tell you something, dude. I've seen cats at the gym, like squatting 405. They get in their go home shower, and now I pull up to Winn-Dixie or whatever, right, to get my groceries. And I see the same cat parked up front in a handicap because by law, technically, right, but like you're a piece of shit, dude. You're a piece of shit, and I hope when you get your groceries, get back in the truck, that like as you pull out in the highway, someone just T-bones the shit out of you. Like, and then you're for real handicapped. Right. And then I hope then I hope somebody just like you parks in your spot when you need the wheelchair access. Dick.
Man, yeah. There it is.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Yep. We have to cut ties here. I got to wrap here in just a second.
Yes,
but
sir.
Before we do, any cool stories?
I'm thumbing through my head because I know there's one in there. Oh, yes. So, despite my deepest fears, right? Dude, people were funny. Like, so I don't remember if you remember me telling you this, but I had this one coach that I was hiring for the gig, right? It was like, my Marshawn Lynch.
Right.
Dude, right? And so just as expected, dude, like it was just so cool. I was for those who don't know, I was super worried because he looks like he just broke out of like, not even like cell block C, like the murder floor. And just, he's a scary individual, dude, like appearance wise. And then you talk to him and realize very charismatic, bubbly, nice guy. But I was worried about how he'd be perceived. And came in there, dude. I was coaching this class. People started talking. They've already had like some of our bougier pinky out folks wanting to do one-on-one personal training with him because he is, dude. He's an ace in the hole. He's brilliant. He's smart. He's just a kid that has a rough start. And God bless him, dude. He put his head down, eyes up, and like he's a doctorate, dude. Like both his kids are in college. He had his first kid at 19. Like, and he just grinded, dude. And like he got it done, right? And I think it's just such a cool success story. Like, and people need to get over themselves and give folks a chance, right? Now, would you give this dude a chance in a dark alley on a Saturday night at 2 a.m.? That's on you. Like,
right.
But like, if you met this dude in broad day in a Publix and you're too scared to say what's up and figure out who they are in their story, then you're the problem.
Yeah.
You know? So, no, I just thought it was super cool, dude. We had like an event and he shined, dude. Like I knew he would because he's that guy. But yeah, so it's just super cool to see that, like, you know, people are awesome, dude. And we need to take the time to get past the book cover. Because there's a lot of cool people walking around that you have failed to meet due to your stereotypes and judgment. Like, you know, take the walls down and find out that like there's still some awesome people are out there walking around in the wild.
Man, yeah. No, that definitely a cool story. And I think it's cool not only like, I mean, in several different lenses. Like one, like you said, for him to be able to turn things around, put himself in that, you know, position to do so. And then two, cool, and kudos to you for like, you could have just as easily been like, I know my demographic. So shout out to you for, you know, taking a chance.
I appreciate that.
Trusting your gut. Kudos to your boss. You brought him to your boss. He took a chance. And then like, how freaking cool is that though? That, you know, you hear on the news like all this, and I'm not going to say like racism isn't real, but again, it's back to that, like, I think it's very minority of people that makes the blow up news situation. But like,
yes,
you brought this dude in, and these pinky out rich white folks are just like, you know, they see him as a person, they're like super respectful, loving him. Like, that's freaking cool shit, man. And I think that's the stuff that doesn't get talked about as much because it doesn't make a headline and stuff. But that's fucking awesome, dude. So those are all you guys, man. I'm following along your Instagram. What are your D1 Niceville? Go follow them on Instagram. Niceville. Doing some cool stuff on there. Yeah, it looks like, I thought they were already open. It looked like the place was coming together. I saw you running some kids around, so it's cool to see.
So close.
Hell yeah. Well, cool, man. Final thoughts before we wrap?
Yeah, get your shit done, dude.
Yeah. Oh, it's in progress, bro. So
right on.
So probably about a year from now, I'll have my decision.
Yep.
All right, cool. We'll catch you guys next time.